Something's wrong. Something's amiss.
You're right, Shane. It feels like we can no longer use Wii Shop points. It's like reality in itself is bending and morphing.
All those Wii Shop games, it's like a part of us is gone.
Shane, are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh, your hands are back. Does that mean that our Wii Shop points are back?
No.
Oh boy. Well, I guess the news is out. It's clear. Starting today, January the 30th, we can no longer use Wii Shop points. This is a sort of definitive wall in what is digital purchases with Nintendo. This is kind of like the Wii, the original Wii, was Nintendo's first sort of foray into the big internet purchasing things online game. And yeah, we knew that eventually we'd hit a wall, you know.
Yeah, but you never expect the wall to come.
You just didn't want it to.
Yeah.
Like we'd spoken about this before, because as of March 2018, you couldn't add points to your account, but you had the better part of a year to try and use those points to pick up whatever games you wanted on the WiiWare channel.
For what reason?
Because
it's all going away anyway. This is the problem with this kind of stuff, folks. If you're not aware how this is all working out, is that any of the digital purchases you made in the past, you can still download. We tried it today. You can still download things that you purchased in the past. But it's going to come to a point, and Nintendo themselves have said, this is it. If you download your stuff now, now's the time to do it, because at some point in the future, they're probably just going to turn it off completely.
Right. So we don't know. We don't know when they're going to turn it off completely. It could be in a month or a year or whatever. But all we know is that, yes, download whatever you can. And I think if you want to be able to play these games sometime into the future, I don't know that there is a hardware-specific answer to that, because you can transfer your Wii titles to your Wii U, so that's okay. That's one generation up, and then that's secure as long as your Wii U is alive, right? But as soon as that Wii U dies, there's no way of getting those purchases somewhere else, right?
No, there really isn't.
You SD transferred from your Wii to your Wii U, and then there's the barrier.
Look, this is something I've not really enjoyed about Nintendo. We have tons of digital storefronts now. Back when the Wii came out, we didn't have as many, but we still had some, and it just sucks so much to see that Nintendo has so much failed to just be prepared for any of this stuff.
A part of me, going back to it's the mid 2000s we're talking with the Wii, right? And like I said, this is their first time jumping into purchases online. It didn't seem like they were thinking about the infrastructure that they could have to maintain. Were they just thinking okay, we have the Wii. Will people want to play the games they purchase sometime in the future, 10 years from now? They're like, don't worry about it. We'll let the other guys worry about it. Or, we'll worry about that half a decade or a decade down the road.
I was always angry the moment that we went from Wii to Wii U. That transition was a terrible point in time for me, because there was a way to transfer your purchases from the Wii to the Wii U. The problem was, on the Wii U, there's a closed ecosystem of Wii games, and they're not actually ported over. This also creates issues when you're playing games in higher resolutions and stuff, because it's technically just a box of Wii. It's not actually allowing itself to use too much of the Wii U architecture, and we could have probably had games running at higher resolutions and a bunch of other stuff.
I would assume that it probably wouldn't have been so hard to incorporate into the hardware a way to take those original Wii titles, or the things that you get on the Wii Shop Channel, and then just make them look prettier. Make it so that the resolution was 720p, because it was basically 480, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and even to this day, I'll play Wii games on my Wii U, and it doesn't look all that great. It kind of looks like I'm using cheap component cables, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem, right? At the time, I probably would have been buying way more Wii and Wii U stuff if it was transferable from all my devices. So here's a problem that happened at the point. There were games that were released on the Wii that may have been released on the Wii U that were also released on the 3DS, and three of those systems did not work together.
Yeah.
And that sucked. Even the DS to a point also, because the DSi had the ability to download
DSi
games.
hardware or software and stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's been really iffy. I think they tried to sort of consolidate things between the Wii U and the 3DS to an extent, because the eShop there was an eShop on the Wii U and an eShop on the 3DS.
But they didn't really connect.
Yeah, it didn't really work all that well. So
it's just this whole situation that they're in right now with the Wii closing down is scary, and I think is a pretty good sign I hate to say this, not to trust Nintendo with digital purchases until they can prove themselves being worthy of your money. Because at this point, it's scary to think that I'm buying digital releases of games right now on the Switch. I try to buy physical where I can, but there's a lot of digital games out there that are digital only. Are those games just going to evaporate in the future and disappear completely?
Yeah, so maybe some people will hear what you're saying and be like, oh, you're just being so negative about Nintendo. But as people that like look at hardware and software and the way that these things are offered to us as customers, like all we can do is look at historically what companies have done for us and assume that they're going to be taking steps in the same direction. So far with Nintendo, we've had multiple generations of consoles, and all we've seen is like, no, cutoff point, cutoff point, cutoff point. We've had to repurchase Super Mario Brothers for the NES like 5 or 6 times.
I stopped. I'm done. No, because every time I go to buy, look.
Well, now it's on a Netflix-like service, and we don't know when that's going to shut down.
Yeah,
so,
and it will.
Yeah.
It will shut down eventually at some point, and when it happens, we're going to be in the same position again that we are right now. But there are really good ways for Nintendo to prevent this from happening in the future, but even then, I don't see them doing it. There's this talk about the next system that they're going to release after the Switch, whatever it might be, a new Switch variation or a 3DS. There is like a 4DS or something. There is such a good I want to say chance that the next console Nintendo releases will not run Switch games. Think about that. Think about how insane that is, and this is the situation we're in right now. If the next system just has a different kind of chipset, just has something unique about it that changes it a little bit from the original, maybe it doesn't have controllers that can come apart or whatever it might be, then suddenly all those games will not work on the Switch 2 or whatever it is. Nintendo needs to start figuring out their stuff now because I just get so nervous about this.
I'm not crazy worried about hardware because, like I said earlier, was that we have seen, as far as like digital purchases are concerned, there have been walls. But with hardware, they have shown a little bit historically that they can do backwards compatibility and stuff. But yeah, no, you're right about the form factor of their hardware has always been an issue, right? Because okay, we did have backwards compatibility from the Wii U. We could play Wii games, but you had to have your motion controllers and stuff. So yes. Moving forward, it just depends on the hardware, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe they will incorporate backwards compatibility. I don't know.
So we've said this probably like a billion times already, that there were a lot of games on the Wii storefront, like Virtual Console and stuff like that you can't get anywhere else, and in some cases are like really rare games.
You want to knock off all the negativity for a minute and just kind of rose-tinted glasses. Take a little look.
Virtual Console was really good. Okay. I think many people don't really don't think about how good it was, but there was no other service before the Wii Virtual Console that just brought everything together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that they'll ever be able to bring these companies together again because Nintendo scooped up just mounds of IP. It's not just single games we're talking about here. The Virtual Console encompassed a potpourri of 80s and 90s gaming. It was just massive. We got, of course, your Nintendo consoles. We had NES emulation, SNES emulation, N64. And by the way, it's not just the games that are within the Virtual Console itself that are amazing. It's the emulation of the games themselves. Things were fairly well emulated. So we had classic Nintendo consoles, but we also had TurboGrafx.
Yep.
We had TurboGrafx CD. So you had an official way of playing some games, like TurboGrafx CD games, a lot of the good ones. Those are super expensive, man. We're talking some can get over $1,000 or multiple thousands of dollars. Also Sega Master System games. For a brief moment of time, we had Commodore 64 games on the Virtual Console. This thing was freaking amazing. It was close to 400 titles overall. But again, Nintendo scooped up a bunch of IPs. They got licenses to a bunch of games, and it fluctuated. Sometimes we lost games here or there, but it was around 400.
And it still really sucks because here is how Nintendo could have been making a killer amount of money. Now, onto the Wii U, there are some situations there. The Wii U is a gigantic mess. I like the system. I think, Adam, you like the system a little bit.
I enjoy it, but I won't deny that it was a mess.
Yeah.
It was.
So moving things over from the Wii to the Wii U, I think really destroyed what Nintendo was trying to do, because if the Virtual Console had moved over from the Wii to the Wii U
Yes.
in a simple way by taking all of your digital purchases and keeping them in your account and moving them. It would have been a great way for all these companies to come by. Do you know why they got all these Neo Geo games and Sega games and TurboGrafx games and Commodore 64 games and all of those other systems? Do you know why? Because all Nintendo did was they walked up to a company and said, look, you're sitting on about 2 decades worth of video games that you're not selling right now. We have the emulator. We can just put it on our system and you can sell them and just give us a little cut, but you make a lot of money from just selling old crap that you would have been throwing out anyway. And that's what happened. But they didn't continue that with the Wii U onto the Switch, and now you would have to even if the Switch gets a virtual console today, you'd have to re-buy all those purchases again. There's no way to take what you had on the Wii and move them over, unless Nintendo has some amazing way, which would be really cool, but as far as I'm aware, there's no way to transfer that stuff over. That's the big mistake here.
Yeah, so I think there's a few things that were problematic about the Virtual Console. I think at that point in time, when the original Wii came out and Nintendo went to all these companies and said, hey, just put your games on our console, we'll sell them, and everyone will make money, everyone will be happy. At that time, I don't think these companies realized how much money there was there for them. We're talking about an era where we weren't seeing a lot of these collections like we have nowadays. I really do think that the Virtual Console as it exists on the Wii is lightning in the bottle of the mid-2000s.
Sure,
I don't believe anyone could approach all of these companies today and get the same sort of deal that Nintendo did. I don't know, because we get compilation games now, right? We get the Genesis compilation, we get Neo Geo compilations.
Even if you were to get that, unless you got all the other companies, you would miss Nintendo. And I think that's the biggest part, right?
Yeah.
Like TurboGrafx, NEC, they don't really exist the same way. Neo Geo's the same thing. Sega isn't really the same thing either.
So it might be easier to pick those up,
Yeah.
right? Because, maybe the company just says, okay, whatever. They do seem to be licensing out their titles to a bunch of different companies, right? So, it could be easier. But yes, if you're going to have, like, I guess we're going to start talking about this eventually, if you're going to lean into, like, a Netflix-style service that gives us the Virtual Console experience as we want it...
True.
Nintendo probably wouldn't be a part of that.
I don't think they would. And if they were to do it, I believe there's a specific way to do it properly. And this is how I think that they should do a new style Virtual Console. One that I don't think Nintendo should run because Nintendo's already established they don't know what the heck they're doing when it comes to that kind of stuff. Here's how they would make it work. Now, the concept with a streaming video game service is usually the way we would think about Netflix, right? Oh, you can just download or stream a movie directly to you, and then, after a month or two or maybe a year, they pull that license offline and you can never watch it again. That is old school technology. Okay, Netflix, in my mind, is old. This is not new stuff anymore. This is old school mentality, old school thinking. iTunes was the right way to treat this. You purchase an album and you get the digital license to that album, plus the songs are given to you DRM free. At least at the beginning they weren't, but now they are. So what they should do is they should give you digital packages of games that are stored on a cloud that are always up there. Ultraviolet is a good example of that. That's basically how a lot of these companies sell DVD movies. If you buy DVD or Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray, you'll get like a digital code, and the digital code gets sent to a storage locker that is not held by any one company in general. And so whatever group you go to get your stuff, you'll actually just get digital movies that you can watch anywhere. The same thing should be done for video games for downloadable packages. You should have the company, some company out there should manufacture this so that we have digital rights stored somewhere so that anytime there's a new system, all you need to do is download that package and there you go.
Yeah, so maybe like a Netflix-style app, let's say, well, Netflix out the window.
Sure,
an app that you could have on whatever device you're using. But let's simplify this.
Yeah.
Like GOG for classic games.
That's it.
Right?
That's all it is.
So GOG, you purchase your games and you have them forever, right? And you have your cloud of games and you just download them. And
hey, GOG.com. I know a lot of folks over there. They like to watch. I know those people. If you guys were to make this and you made an app for iOS, for Android, for I don't know, Xbox. I'm pretty sure Microsoft would be up for it. Right, get in with Microsoft now while they're kind of small with their console and not doing so great. This would be the time to do it. And even then, I think Microsoft is the kind of company that has proven that you can have long-lasting digital rights held. Today, just to prove a theory I had, because everyone had been talking about this and we didn't even know anymore, you can go on the Xbox 360, you can buy a game. I went and bought Midway Classic Collections. Not every game is like this, but you can buy a bunch of games on the 360 that will not only work on the 360, but it will work on the Xbox One, and the digital right is in your account, so it's transferable. But it gets so much better. You can buy games on Xbox One that will also go to the 360, and they will also go to your PC.
The Microsoft Store on your PC.
I've got all these games that I purchased on Xbox One digitally that I now have across a bunch of different platforms that I can play in any way I want. That's the way it should work. That's the way it should be for future purchases. And I think Microsoft's got the right idea here, but I really hate to see the other companies not getting on board. Sony's a little bit better, but they're not perfect. You know?
I believe that there have been titles, like the PlayStation Store has had like PS1 classics games and PSP games. But I would love to be able to play, like for example, those PSP games, you could play them downloaded onto a handheld device, but you can't play them on your TV.
I have no idea why.
Right?
That doesn't make
Unless
any
you have
sense
a PS TV.
But like, why didn't they do that? Why didn't they just allow you? Like, I get there's some PlayStation Vita games that have touchscreen support and that kind of stuff.
Give us the option to change the controls. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
Hold down the R2, whatever, this would be L2. Hold down the L2 button and do another thing, and then it could be another button. I don't care even if it is sloppy, just give us the option. Give us options.
That's all I want. It's very simple. But we're not getting stuff like that.
Yeah, it's sad. So, okay, well, when we're thinking about preserving the titles that were on the Virtual Console, and there are very much things. I'm saying Virtual Console. It's not just Virtual Console games. We're talking about WiiWare games as well.
Yes.
And so, where Virtual Console games are the historical games that have been on other systems, there are some WiiWare games that only released on the Wii.
Yeah,
and
the Rebirth series.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We were talking about the Konami Rebirth series just recently. Contra Rebirth, Gradius Rebirth. These are great Konami games, 2D rebirths of traditional games. And another title, which is very important in my opinion, Castlevania The Adventure, which was originally released on the Game Boy, the old school Game Boy, was really clunky, really slow, not a great Castlevania game. They remade it on the for WiiWare, and it's great. It's really good. The only problem is that it's only on the WiiWare service, and
it's locked.
You're
never going to be able to buy it again unless you had some like codes and stuff that you could use.
I didn't buy it. I don't have points, or I didn't. Oh, I didn't. No one can use points now.
Yeah.
I will never have that on my Wii U. I use my Wii U to play my Wii games. I'll never have that.
And here we come into the next big problem. If you want to play that right now, everyone out there is saying that you can't because you can't just buy it officially and legally. However, the community out there that has created the Dolphin emulator, you can use the Dolphin emulator to actually play those versions of those games if you get them illegally. And as much as that sucks,
that's it.
Not only is that the best way to play it now, which is a way that the companies don't make money from selling this game anymore. Right. And by the way, I do not even want to hear from anyone that this is a rights issue. It's Konami and it's Castlevania. They own it all. They don't have to pay anybody else. It's not like they have to find the guy that created. They did it. It's theirs. They own it. So all they have to do is just release on another platform. But they haven't.
No.
So what you're getting now is this game that is available only on one platform. But if you want to emulate it, not only is the emulation better and higher resolution, you're also emulating it on a system that is far more consistent, honestly, because you're getting way better power out of your current PC.
And hey, man, 10 years from the moment you download that thing to your PC, you can transfer that to another PC and perpetually keep the software going. We can't do that with any. There's no solution to what Nintendo's offered us.
Absolutely not.
And as far as preservation's concerned, that's scary.
Yeah,
right.
It absolutely is. And look, there are some situations, especially with GOG.com, where you can actually get certain older games that were available on consoles and stuff like that, and they give you these packages that you can download. That's kind of the way I want to see it happen in the future. I want to see more stuff like that because I do want to buy these games. After having a look at them, they look really cool. Yeah. I want to buy them, but I want to buy them so that I can hold on to them and make them last for a really long time. The first company that figures out how to do rights DRM or a DRM-free management that actually profits from the sale of these games and stuff like that, they're going to be in a far better position. But they're just not there yet.
We can't forget that buying these games not only ensures that we can play these titles in some format into the future, but this also, every time you purchase a game, some of that money goes to the company. And when some of that money goes to the company for a specific title, like a Rebirth title,
Yes.
and a lot of those purchases are made, maybe they start thinking about making other 2D games. You know, all the data.
Any game, it doesn't even matter.
No.
We're literally getting to the point where 3D games are being lost, right? So it's like,
So
we're there.
It is voting with your wallet. You always hear about voting with your wallet. Well, if we have the opportunity to buy these games, that's a vote that you're giving to this company that, I'm totally on board with this series that we haven't seen for years, or this style of game that isn't being done right now. You know, it's you're promoting those things. It's important.
And here, this is for any game developer out there that's watching, any video game publisher, because I know the argument, and I've had this argument said to me so many times, and frankly, it's insulting to my intelligence, and it makes you sound like a moron. When you tell me something like, okay, DRM. If we release a game that has no DRM on it, so that's digital rights management, that means that you can just download it anywhere, share it anywhere, whatever. If we release a game like that, everyone's going to pirate it. Buddy, everyone is already pirating your games. It's done. The moment it reaches the market, it gets cracked in like a day or two. There is nothing to prevent that from happening now. So releasing games, and look, brand new games, maybe you do some stuff with that. I understand that. But your old classics from the past, there is a torrent right now online that if I downloaded it, it's a big one too. It's like, I think it's like several terabytes long, or big. But if you download it, it gives you every NES, every SNES, every Sega Genesis, every Sega CD, every N64, every Sega Saturn, every PlayStation, every single game in one package. One click, and if you have no, and a lot of people are sharing this thing, I'm not saying I've downloaded it, but I've seen it.
You're aware of it.
I'm aware of it. Everyone talks about it. It's like the God File or something like that. Everybody wants this thing. If it's so easy to download those things and you're not giving consumers a way to purchase them, you've already lost the battle. DRM-free digital distribution packages directly from the company is the way to go because people will want to purchase them. For me, it's the idea that not only am I supporting the company and I'm supporting the people, I'm getting the official real version from the real company. That's what matters. Even if you're not making the emulators, giving me the ROM in a package that's official means the world to me.
I would even say that, having to jump through the hoops, even if it is simple to download the torrent and emulate it, if there is a one-click and you're there, interface on your PC or on your TV or a console or whatever, I'm there. And I think 99% of the population is there as well. We're lazy. If you give us an icon that says, hey, here's Contra, pay us $5 and you can play it or whatever.
Oh my God, it's simple. It's so simple. I know it sounds crazy, right?
Super lazy.
The amount of time, I've got friends who've trying to hack their SNES classics and stuff like that, and it's not easy. Sometimes, it's supposed to be easy, but sometimes it doesn't work all the way. There's a whole bunch of other situations where people are trying to make Raspberry Pi systems, and you have to flash a micro SD card. You gotta do all these things. Just give us a way to buy the games. We're telling you, we want to give you money. Let us give you money. This is it. This is the end of the conversation.
Insert the meme. Okay. Well, this is the end of the conversation?
Yeah.
This is the end of the conversation. So,
I really feel like Nintendo dropped a ball here.
Okay, but
they dropped the ball. They dropped the world. They can't make this service survive.
If nothing else, today's news has like a lot of people have been discussing this for the weeks leading up to today. It's got a lot of conversation going, and hopefully these conversations have gotten out to people that can do something about this for the future. So that's what I hope. Mistakes have been made, and I hope that there's some sort of system so that we can appreciate and preserve the beauty of gaming in the past.
The last thing I'll say. The investment in one simple digital storage medium, digital storefront, whatever it might be, that can continue to grow and be establish itself over time makes a lot more sense than making a new digital storefront for every system you release. Steam was released years ago, and it still works. And all the games I purchased back then are still there. GOG.com released years ago, and all the purchases I made are still there. And now Microsoft is basically pulling down, going, anything you bought all the way back then, it's still going to work here, but they have to get the rights to allow it to be released on their systems.
We're seeing consoles that are doing it as well. So
this is it, folks. Nintendo, if you can't catch up and you can't make this stuff work,
we like your games.
It's going to get worse for you because suddenly everyone's just going to pirate everything.